Well, hey guys, we've got a fun video for you today. We are comparing the latest generation 982 Porsche Cayman, the 718 GTS 4.0 to the first model year Cayman S. This is a 2006.
Yep.
This is Chris.
Hello.
He has been known on the channel as the social media guy, but more recently, you've been filming a couple videos for us.
Substitute
You're
TOFR.
you're substitute TOFR. Exactly. Tell me about your car. You've had this for a few years.
It's a 06 Cayman S, guards red, natural brown interior, rare sport wheels. Only thing's different than factory, it's got clear markers there, and then it has a Softronic flash tune, so it makes about 315 horsepower.
And factory, this is about 295?
Yep.
Okay, cool. This is the 3.4 liter.
Yes.
The 3.2 was in the Boxster.
Boxster S. Yeah.
The Boxster S, okay.
Yeah.
So these two cars are 15 years apart.
Yeah.
They haven't really changed much. I mean, this is like Porsche 911 levels of progression, just an evolution,
It
not
is
a
the
revolution.
Porsche way.
It is, yeah. It's a good way to do things.
Yeah.
I've driven your car before. I think they will feel a lot more similar than you would expect.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yours will probably be a little bit more analog, a little bit more, engaging, and this new 718 will probably be a little bit more refined and comfortable and just modernized. But
Right.
both have manual transmissions. We both have the 6-speed manuals in these cars. So spec to spec, they're pretty similar. You have some cool factory options on yours, the wheels, the interior color.
Yeah. It is certainly a unique spec. I've never seen another one identical to this, so I'm not sure how many are out there.
Yeah, who knows?
But I got really lucky finding this spec. It's kind of exactly what I wanted, so.
Hashtag TOFR spec.
Yeah, exactly. Red.
And you even have the TOF on the license plate.
I do. Yes.
What's funny is that we work together,
Yes.
and we've worked together for about a few years now, on and off,
Yeah.
but we've both arrived at the nickname of the TOFR
Yes.
completely separately, like as we grew up.
In different lifetimes.
In different lifetimes, yeah, which is great. I mean, we're both named Chris, so that's,
Well, there's a lot of people that think I am you.
Yeah.
TOFR with a cold.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Substitute TOFR.
Substitute TOFR.
So this new 2021 GTS 4-liter has the 4-liter flat 6. It makes 394 horsepower. So 99 more horsepower than the 06 Cayman made from the factory. I mean, same philosophy. We've got pretty similar dimensions, proportions, looks, inside and out. The philosophy stays true to the original Cayman. It is a driver's car. And I think even the door handles open in the same fashion.
They do.
They do.
That's literally what I thought when I opened the door on this. I was like, oh, this feels just like my car.
Yeah, it kind of opens up and out.
Yeah, it
it's a
does.
very unique handle. We haven't had a lot of Porsches lately, so it's good to get back into a modern Porsche. I did drive the GT4 a few months ago at Platinum Motor Cars, and this GTS does feel pretty similar. Let's take it for the drive. Let's take yours out first,
Okay.
and we'll start with the early model year Cayman and
Sweet.
go to what we have today. We have a physical key,
Yes.
not a fob. That's always very satisfying.
And the mandatory Porsche keychain on there too.
Oh,
Gotta have
absolutely.
that.
This is very nice, very svelte, matching the exterior color.
Yes.
I'm gonna ruin your seating position just a little
You're
bit,
fine.
if that's okay.
No worries.
Look at that, a handbrake. I mean, they changed some switch locations. They've gotten rid of these window switches. They're down below in a more natural area.
Okay.
The lock unlock button is still in the middle. You've got, infotainment and radio and climate controls from the mid 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
but surprisingly, not much has changed. Still have the cup holders over here.
Oh yeah. Those are the worst. Never use those.
I think in practice they'd probably be okay, but
Yeah.
people like to harp on them because it's just like right over your
Yeah,
radio,
you can-
right over your shifter.
You can use and
Oh,
see
wow,
how
that-
fast they snap out.
That one really gets out there.
This one's really springy. Yeah, they work. You can adjust them as well. You can
Oh,
move
that's
them out
nice.
Like this,
Okay.
but yeah, I've only ever used them for like Red Bull, like something or like a can or something that has a low risk of tipping over and spilling. So
That's a good way to do it.
yeah.
So what's the story on this car? How did you get it? Why did you get it?
So when I was growing up, in 2009, my uncle Peter bought a 2008 Cayman S, and he took me for a ride in it, and I was like obsessed. I was hooked. I was like, I need to own this car someday. In fact, I wanted to own that car, but he still owns it to this day. He hasn't sold it, so I had to go source my own. But in 2019, I was getting up to my senior year of college. I was so desperate to find a car that I was literally going on Google and searching Porsche Cayman S for sale. Like, I wasn't even going on like the major websites because there just weren't any. And I happened to stumble upon this on a forum. It was called like 6 Speed Online or something.
Oh yeah, I remember 6 Speed Online, yeah.
Yeah, and this was on a forum. It had been posted for like 2 months, but it was only posted on that forum, so like no one had really seen it.
So you had pretty good dibs on it.
Right, and obviously we live in Michigan. This car was in Virginia, so
Always good to travel south.
right. So I booked a one-way to Virginia after like FaceTiming the owner, and he gave me a walk around, cold start, everything. You know, in contact with the owner for a couple weeks. Flew down to Virginia, drove it home.
So how do you like it? I mean, this thing feels just fantastic.
I love it. It's the best car I've ever owned. It's so good.
It feels really fresh, really tight. It only has 35,000 miles on it.
Yep.
Yeah, first impressions from the driver's seat. It'll be really interesting to show you the new Cayman because
Yeah.
I think the new car is just a little bit more responsive. That flywheel just feels so lightweight in the new one. It revs so quickly.
Yeah.
And this has a little bit more weight to everything. The steering is hydraulic power steering,
Yep.
so you get tons of feel. In the new car, it's pretty numb. This shifter has a little bit more weight to it.
Yeah. I love the shifter.
The shifter's fantastic.
Yeah.
Still sounds awesome.
It does sound really good. It's all just right behind you. So
Yeah,
that's the cool thing about Porsches.
it's a great mix of induction and exhaust sound.
Yeah, you do get a lot of induction sound.
And there's still that mechanical Porsche Flat 6 sound to it.
Yes.
Redline in the new car is quite a bit higher. I think it's around 7,800 RPM, thereabouts.
Thank you for lubricating my IMS.
Absolutely, yeah. No, all the people that I know who have had IMS issues have babied their cars. You gotta drive
Can't
them.
baby it.
Yeah.
Cannot do that.
This is an Autobahn. We must treat it as such.
Yeah, I just try to keep it. The highest I rev it is like 6,500 because the car will keep track of how high you rev it on your DME report.
Oh, really?
So if you hit red line, it knows, and it like devalues the car
Oh, no.
for the next owner. And I mean that's like above red line. Like you can safely take it to like 6,900 or 7,000 or whatever.
Yeah, interesting.
But if you go above 7,000, it will remember.
One demerit.
Yes.
Yeah, one Porsche owner
And then when you go
demerit.
to put it on Bring a Trailer, all of the old farts are going to be like, when was this car? What happened? Did you miss a shift? Like, you know, so
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that stuff.
you do got to be careful. It's just like one more thing driving this car. There's always like that anxious factor of like
Sure.
trying not to screw anything up.
My favorite thing about Porsches has always been how fluid and natural, and everyone says this, how right they feel from behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Everything is as it should be. It's about as perfect ergonomically as a sports car can get. The seating position, the steering wheel position, the shifter, the action of everything, the responsiveness of everything. Even though this is only the 3.4 liter, there's still a lot of torque here too.
Yeah.
It feels great.
You know what's funny? This is my first time ever riding in this car.
It feels faster for the passenger
Yeah,
seat, doesn't it?
I've never ridden in it before. I've only ever driven it. Because when you drove it last time, you drove it alone, so.
Yeah. Gearing feels about the same as the new car.
Okay. Long gears.
Pretty long, yeah.
Pretty long.
I think we're sitting a little bit higher on the highway, maybe another 50 or 100 RPM. Oh, and we've been in eco mode this whole time.
Yep,
or is
so
that
that is
eco climate control?
It is. So the only thing that does is prevent the AC from being on.
Okay.
So if you turn that off, it just turns the AC on.
Nice.
So instead of saying AC, it says Eco.
All right.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
We have the exact same cruise controls, but just on the other side. On the new car, they're on this side.
Oh, interesting.
And the menu function and adjustment is on the right. So the controls are just, they flipped them.
Okay.
Which I think is really interesting.
This is your favorite type of cruise control.
Oh, it's great, yeah. No buttons on the wheel to distract you.
Nope.
Just
Still
everything
aren't on
is
the
right
new
here.
car.
Still aren't on the new car. It has a drive mode selector right here.
Okay.
It sounds so good. Just a joy to drive. So I'm noticing a few things that I like better with this 2006.
Really? Okay.
Hydraulic steering. Of course, you get much better steering feel. It's weighted really well. You can get a pretty good idea of what the front end is doing with that. The new car is really accurate, really direct, really sharp, but it's a little bit numb.
Okay.
The brake feel in this feels a little bit more natural, a little bit more normal. New car, a little bit distant, a little bit more digital, so to speak. Shifters are very similar.
Yep. Porsche shifters are usually all pretty similar and have been for quite a while.
Yeah, they have this really unique action. It's almost like you're rotating them over a ball.
Yes.
Instead of front back. It's like it's
Yes.
almost, it goes around a sphere. It's a
Yep.
really cool action. It feels great.
Yep. Yeah, the 981 GT4, same way. And I'm sure the 718 GT4 was the same way.
Yeah.
Porsches make this noise around like 4,000 to 5,000 where it's like a...
Yeah, it's
You know?
it's exactly that's it. That's what it sounds like. No, it's just a wail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the new car, I think the exhaust valves open up a little bit
Okay.
more, at least when you're in normal mode. And
Yeah.
you hit the exhaust button, it really just resonates throughout the cabin. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so nice that Porsche brought back the flat six and the 4-liter. I mean, they're charging for it. What was?
Yeah.
Do you know what this car was brand new?
71.
71.
With as spec'd. Like
That's
I have the
pretty
window
good,
sticker.
actually.
It was like 70,900 or something like
Adjusted for inflation, then the two cars are probably about the same.
that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Adjusted for inflation, it's like close to 6 figures.
The starting price on the new car is around, what did I say, 80, 83?
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
I think this
And then it's spec'd up to 100.
101.
101, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
with destination.
I think the base on this car was like 60. Because this has about 10,000 in options between
Okay.
the wheels, the natural brown, the BOSE audio, power seats.
Oh, it says the BOSE
HIDs.
audio too.
It does have BOSE, yeah. Yeah, Porsche's been on BOSE for a while.
Yeah. Another thing I really like about these cars, they're fun to drive all the time. And that's not the case with all sports cars. Sometimes some vehicles you get into and they're just really fun when you're going fast and you're flying around. But this, you could daily it and
Yeah.
have a great time just driving it around town, shifting it casually. You don't always have to be hammering to really get that driver satisfaction.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. No auto rev matching in this.
No, you gotta do it yourself.
Because everything feels a little bit heavier in this older Cayman, I actually find it a little bit easier to rev match.
Really?
Yeah. The new car is so responsive.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of recalibrate your brain and your right foot to match it, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Oh. Sounds good. Sounds so good.
It does.
Does it have a sport exhaust or anything?
It doesn't. No, it's just
Just
a
standard
stock
exhaust.
Exhaust, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up dimensionally, but I think the two haven't really changed that much. The new car's probably grown a little bit, like a few inches here and there,
Yeah.
width, length, but... All right, let's go drive the new 718 4-liter.
And then to lock it, it's just the top button. Yep, that's it.
Cool.
Lock and unlock are the same.
We won't bore you guys with trunk and front comparisons, but
No, they're the same.
they're exactly the same.
Trust us.
Yeah, and we'll do it real quick on the new car. There's the trunk.
Looks like mine.
Here's the front.
Yep.
You could fit a
Little bit
pretty
bigger.
large person in there.
Yours is a little bigger than mine.
You think so? A little bit wider?
I think so.
Okay, well, there you go. Slightly bigger.
Very smooth door opener.
Oh yeah, I mean, brand spanking new. This has the GTS Interior Package, which is a pretty expensive option. It's like $3,400 or thereabouts.
Okay.
Here, let's whip out a Monroney and check this out. So, yeah, base price on this is $87,000, $86,800. And this has the leather Race-Tex Interior in black, GTS Interior Package.
Race-Tex. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a really
Just
nice
like the Porsche
material.
Alcantara.
Yeah, except it's probably a little more
It's
durable.
everywhere. Headliner,
Yeah.
steering wheel, seats, armrest,
Shifter. It looks really sharp.
shifter, shift boot too.
Yeah.
And glove box.
As spec, $100,990. And after hearing the final price of your Cayman, I mean, it seems about right.
It's comparable, yeah. Though, of course, there was no GTS back in the day. That was the top dog.
That's
You
right.
either could get the base or the S. That was it.
This comes with a limited slip, mechanical limited slip diff. Does yours have a limited slip or is it open?
It's not. It's open.
All right.
You could not option an LSD, I don't think, until 09, the 987.2.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. There was a Cayman S Sport in 08. I don't know if that one had it or not. This thing sounds cool.
It does sound good. A lot tighter, a lot more modern feeling. The steering wheel, of course, changes the whole experience.
Wow, it revs.
It revs, and it has a lot of power. The big difference is the torque. I mean, you rev it out, and you gain that horsepower pretty progressively, but low down, fourth gear, under 3,000 RPM, it just takes off. It's amazing. Auto rev matching, but you can turn that off with different drive modes.
Tires are sticky.
Oh yeah, they are. One of the best shifters in any sports car,
Yep.
I think, ever.
And Amy Auto.
Yeah, I don't know. This might be better. I've really grown to like it this week. It's just the perfect throw. I think this is still a slightly longer throw than the Cayman GT4,
Okay.
but it just feels right. It just super positive engagement, a little bit sharper than your car. And still that iconic kind of rotating on a ball feel.
Yeah.
I don't really know how else to describe it.
Yeah. No, that is a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
I thought of it like that, but it's good. Oh, yeah.
Philosophically, I struggle a little bit with auto rev matching because I love to heel toe myself,
Yeah.
but in this car, it's really, really good, and it sounds so nice.
It does.
It smooths out the driving experience. Let's put it in normal.
What was that?
So this is everything in soft, exhaust, and quiet.
Oh, okay.
You lose auto rev matching.
Gotcha.
The drive modes in this are interesting. In normal mode, you get very progressive throttle. In sport, it's a lot less linear of a throttle. It really gives you a lot of power early on in the pedal travel. And then in Sport Plus, it will give you, again, that more progressive linear throttle, which I think is probably how you would want it on track, so you have a little bit more control, but it's much less of an on-off switch. And in quiet mode, for just driving around town,
yeah, it's great.
It's pretty subdued. I think once you get into it, the valve opens and the exhaust opens up quite a bit, but
it still has these.
yeah. Does that right one flip out as quickly as yours?
No.
The right one is definitely quicker though.
Yeah.
Oops. Messed that one up.
Just edit that out.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel, so if I go from Sport Plus to Sport, you get like a little bit of acceleration because...
Oh, and you hear it.
Yeah, you hear it.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, the gearing in this feels very similar to your car. We have a higher red line, but the power is such that you don't really feel like it's being neutered as much by the tall gearing. It feels more natural because you've got more power to play with.
Right. So would you choose the 718 GT4 or would you choose this? Do you think it's worth it to pay a little bit more to get the GT4?
I think it depends on what you're going to do with it. If you're going to track it, go get the GT4.
Right. If you're not tracking it.
If you're not going to track it, get this. Because it's 95% of the driving experience of the GT4, just without that extra knife edge of performance and cooling capacity and aero and there's a lot of grip.
Yeah. My organs are like switching sides.
Getting rearranged a little bit in there, yeah. I feel like they've numbed the steering a little bit compared to the 987, and the brake pedal feel isn't as good. It's a little bit softer, a little bit lighter feeling. A lot of the controls are kind of a little bit more livable, I think. Which, if you're driving this, if you're dailying this, isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Kind of goes along with what you said with the GT4 too.
Yeah. And I felt the same thing with the GT4. So, I mean, from a driving feel standpoint, these are very similar. I think the GT4 is maybe a little bit more approachable at the limit. That aero helps a lot. You really start to notice it on entrance, exit ramps above 50, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But I mean, beyond the fact that, you know, these cars are 15 years apart, and just the fact that they feel like they're 15 years apart, ultimately, they're not that different.
Mm-mm.
You've just got a more responsive, slightly sharper, modern car here with the new Cayman.
Yeah.
And I love that it has still just kind of followed the same philosophy, but progressed in a way that is still just as fun to drive. I don't think this is any more or less fun to drive than your car.
Okay.
But it's just a little bit sharper. You know, you've got a warranty.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a big thing. That is just the Porsche way, though. The cars just like they never like drastically change. They just progress with time.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not trying to reinvent the wheel with every generation, you can just focus on improving. And that's one reason why I think their cars have always been so good.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit, you know, underappreciated by the masses, which is fine, because if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I drove my first Porsche. It was a 997 GTS. It was a 911.
Okay.
And I could not believe how just perfect and right everything felt. It was a PDK too. It wasn't even a manual.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was just so impressed with that car. And I think this Cayman 4-liter brings it up to, if not slightly better in my mind, than a comparably priced 911. I don't know. I don't know what I would rather have between this or a Carrera right now in Porsche's modern landscape.
Okay. Have you driven the 992?
I haven't.
Okay.
But I love that this is still naturally aspirated. They haven't added a turbo or anything.
Yep.
It's quick enough. You can still enjoy it on the street. You have to be a little careful. Yours, I think you can have a little bit more fun in at lower speeds.
I mean,
you can rev it out. It doesn't have as much power. You're not flying instantly.
Second gear, halfway through second gear though, you're like over the speed limit.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Second gear is your best friend and your worst enemy at the same time.
I know.
It's the Porsche whale.
Yep. It's not as much though. It's not as much of a as my car.
Yeah, it's a different tone.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yours has a more like lower guttural sound.
This is higher pitched.
Yeah. Really smooth engine though.
Oh yeah.
In both cars.
Yep.
There's just a magic to these flat sixes that Porsche just couldn't reproduce in the 4-cylinders.
Yeah, this is definitely a big deal for enthusiasts that were sad about the 718 going to 4-cylinder.
Yeah, no, I think it needed to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's you're definitely paying a premium for it, but I think it's worth it. And if you just track the prices of Caymans over the years anyway, I mean,
yeah, well, I think that the 718 being a 4-cylinder, there's an Aston Martin.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I think the fact that the base 718 and the 718S are 4-cylinder has helped the values stay pretty steady on 981s.
That's true.
And it's made the values raise on 987s. But also, I mean, there's a million other factors, but I think that is definitely something that has contributed. Because 981s are still worth a good amount of money. There was a 981, like a base 981 PDK with 5,000 miles that sold on Bring a Trailer a couple weeks ago for like 70 grand.
Wow.
So.
And used ones with 30, 40,000 miles are probably still 50 or 60.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for a manual Cayman S.
Yep.
You're lucky to find one under 60 grand.
Well, two just awesome cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do really still love the looks and the proportions of the first generation Cayman.
Yes.
The roof has this just airplane cockpit look to it.
Yeah.
Or the airplane bubble.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased because that's my car, but I think the 987 is the best looking Cayman.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. The 981s were really cool too. And this has just gone a lot more sleek, a lot smoother lines. Looks a little bit more aerodynamic, I guess, but I mean, they're all great looking cars. You can't go wrong. Yep. Just a fob, no key, but that's a cool fob. It still looks like a Panamera.
Yeah, I love Porsche fobs.
All right, guys. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that drive. Just a casual Tuesday drive in a couple Caymans. Hopefully it sheds some light on the differences between the two. Cool. Well, hey, man. Thanks for letting me drive your car again.
Yeah.
And that was fun. That was enlightening too. Yeah. It's cool to like see progress and just changes that manufacturers have made over time. And I don't think they have made the Cayman any worse. It's still great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When I first got into this, I haven't driven a lot of Porsches recently. I thought it was a little bit numb, a little bit distant. But after driving these back to back, the differences aren't as much as I would think. I think the new car makes up for that lack of feel, or that slightly less amount of driving feel, with its sharpness and immediacy. And the old car still gives that kind of analog satisfaction, the weight of the controls, the way everything talks to you a little bit more.
Yep.
But it's a trade-off that I think is perfectly valid in today's landscape, and it's still just one of my favorite sports cars for under or around $100,000. Because you could easily spec these up to just a lot of money. But for 80, 90, 100,000 bucks, it's great. Great they still offer it in a manual too. You can't go wrong with the PDK either.
Yeah.
I think personally I'd probably stick with a manual just because.
In a car like this, yeah.
Yeah, it gives you something to do between stoplights.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well that was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.